Meanwhile, Korea and Africa announced plans to intensify discussions to establish a joint economic committee, fostering deeper collaborations to strengthen their future business partnerships. The two sides revealed this on the sidelines of the 2024 Korea-Africa Business Summit in Seoul. Utsile Onkabetsi.
Developing countries such as Botswana have since time immemorial valued solid partnerships which promote inclusive and progressive socio-economic development, which also fully aligns with the Africa We Want 2063 agenda. Africa and South Korea's intentional efforts in deepening trade and business cooperation through this inaugural summit is a step in the direction of furthering mutual development and global priorities.
Botswana looks forward to joining hands with the Korean people on her journey for economic growth and modernization. Our presence and participation at this historic summit is testament to our desire to learn from each other and to take concrete measures to strengthen cooperation that will propel economic growth and Africa's rise to being a significant contributor to global prosperity. With technology and innovation, the possibilities for making headway on agricultural productivity, management of natural resources, healthcare services, e-government, e-commerce, to name but a few, are limitless.
Botswana has already made strides in her digitization drive over the years and is also alive to the need to make her contribution felt, both regionally and globally.
In Botswana, my government is committed to investing in science and technology, building a robust digital infrastructure, and creating a supportive environment for small businesses and startups. To this end, we are equipping our youth with the necessary skills to become innovators and entrepreneurs of tomorrow, as well as working towards ensuring that all citizens have access to the tools which are needed to participate in the global economy. Africa and Korea are uniquely endowed to support each other's development and prosperity. Africa's rich cultural diversity is a potent fuel for innovation. Our diverse ethnicities, traditions, and ways of life offer unique opportunities and approaches to problem solving and the building of analytical and organizational models.
This multilateral event postures Botswana well in exploring new areas of cooperation in the tech space with far-reaching benefits to her sectoral development, as well as the national priorities which speak to the advancement of her population and economic status. Utsile Onkabetsi, BTV News, Pyongyang, South Korea.
The chairperson of the Botswana Green Finance Mainstreaming Work Group, Mr. Joshua Sibonge, says it is crucial to align the country's financial system in a way that will ensure sustainable growth, especially at a time when climate change and biodiversity loss are existing crises. Mr. Sibonge shared this at the inaugural Green Finance Mainstreaming Workshop Group in Gaborone, which was convened to map out strategies to help the country's financial system achieve this objective. Solofelo Tombali.
Botswana, like the world at large, faces the threat of climate change and through it accelerated biodiversity loss, which is why it has accepted the assistance of the United Nations Development Programme's Biodiversity Finance Initiative, BioFin. To leverage the initiative's resources, Botswana has formed a Green Finance Mainstreaming Working Group to discuss funding of green initiatives by government and the private sector.
Our mission is clear and focused: to mainstream green finance, making it an integral part of our financial institutions, policies, and practices. This means not only recognizing the risks associated with environmental degradation, but also seizing the opportunities that arise from sustainable investments.
The necessary financial resources need to be mobilized to support the transition to a low-carbon, climate-resilience economy. This requires robust policy framework, innovative financial instruments, and unwavering commitment from all stakeholders.
Mr. Sibonge highlighted the agenda of his working group.
Our agenda for today is ambitious, and rightly so. We are going to discuss the working group terms of reference, the Botswana Nature-related Financial Disclosure Readiness, and the Institutional Review Study, which comprises an assessment of institutional, policy, and regulatory readiness for disclosure of nature-related finance and risks.
Understanding nature-related impacts, dependencies, risks, and opportunities across portfolios of assets and economic value chains is essential for making investment and lending decisions that protect, restore, and sustainably use biodiversity. This is why we are working on our readiness in terms of the nature-related financial disclosure and institutional capacities and mandates, which will be discussed in detail during this meeting.
The government has expressed its eagerness to see the recommendations that will emerge from the 3-day meeting, which could be included in its planning for the upcoming National Development Plan, NDP 12. Solofala Tombale, BTV News, Gaborone.
Infrastructure developments are said to be a way of changing people's lives positively, not just to beautify the area where they are built at. This was said by the Member of Parliament for Okavango, Mr. Kenny Kapinga, during a quarterly meeting addressed by the Minister of Transport and Public Works, Mr. Rick Molale, on the mapping of Mohembo-Gudigwa Road in Kaugwi. Mpo Aron.
During the official opening of the Okavango River Bridge in Mohembo last year, it was evident that the development has brought happiness and changes in the lives of people living in the Okavango East and West. Excitement that the Member of Parliament for Okavango, Mr. Kapinga, says is expected again when the construction of the Mohembo to Gudigwa Road begins, but urges residents of Okavango to stop vandalism that he says is being done on the bridge. Developments do change people's lives. Before the construction of this bridge, Tobera residents were only traveling once to Shakawe and sometimes could not manage to come back due to ferry boat times. People are vandalizing the newly Okavango River Bridge. They break its lights, street lights and cables. And it's your children doing that. It is upon us as parents to discipline these children and stop this vandalism.
Prior to
that, Khosi Simon Kambango of Kaugwi put forward some requests for his village, including the construction of internal roads and the opening of Kaugwi Clinic, which has long been constructed. We previously asked for our gravel roads, which goes to Kaputura, to be extended to Tobera, and that will help in connecting the 3 villages, which are just less than 10 kilometers apart, being Kaugwi to Kaputura and back to Tobera. The construction of Mohembo to Gudigwa roads includes the access roads to gazetted villages that are 10 kilometers or less away from the main road. So if Tubira and Kaputura are gazetted and less than 10 kilometers, they will have access roads constructed for them. As government, we have a mandate of having live museums. So ferry boats that were used previously to cross the Okavango River are not going to be taken away to cities that don't have water. They will remain here to be live museums.
Minister
Molale also told residents about other roads to be constructed this year, which include Matiti Breveda, Letlake into Kaudwani, Otse to Dibiti, and Khatsalatadi, Botapato, and Puduhudu. Mpo Aron, BTV News, Kaudwi.
Non-communicable diseases remain a serious threat globally, Botswana included, and therefore there is dire need to address such challenges at an early stage. These remarks were made by the Minister of Health, Dr. Edwin Dikoloiti, at the Healthy Warriors book launch in Gaborone. The book is expected to solely promote healthy lifestyle, especially amongst children. Mojadi Mokibero.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, statistics on non-communicable diseases, NCDs, keep on the rise and making up to 70% deaths globally, and Botswana is not an exception. Children, on the other hand, have been severely affected by these NCDs, which includes obesity, diabetes, asthma, as well as mental health disorders, and the launch of such books like Healthy Warriors is viewed as an immense value in this regard.
This book launch hold immense value in this regard. By educating our children about NCDs in a language they can understand, we empower them to make informed choices about their health. knowledge is power. And by equipping our youth with the tools to prevent and manage NCDs, we invest in a healthier and brighter future for our nation.
The book will inspire the young generations to take charge of their health and become champions of their lives.
When we go back to our schools, when we go back to our organizations, we need to speak to the people who are able to change this, people who are able to absorb this kind of material, this kind of teaching material into the schools, because that's primarily what we want. We want this book to go into mainstream education so that we can be able to go into the curriculum, so that we can be able to have it as part of what they learn at schools, so that we may be able to change their lives in that regard.
Collaboration in projects of such nature remains relevant in empowering young generations on healthy living lifestyles.
This book, Healthy Warriors, Conquering NCDs, aims to raise awareness on non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, among our young generation, and to empower them to take responsibility for their health. By educating our children on the importance of healthy lifestyles, we are not only shaping their futures, but we are also influencing the future of the entire community and of the economy of our lovely republic.
As the government of Botswana spends millions on healthcare services, the launch of Healthy Warriors will help create a healthier and more resilient Botswana, especially among children who are the future of this country. Mojati Mukibelo, BTV News, Gaborone.
You're watching BTV News. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Minister of Transport and Public Works, Mr. Eric Malale, says affirmative action should not only be the mandate of the local government and rural development ministry, but should be a role all ministries take up in order to drive government ideas of inclusivity. Mr. Malale was speaking in Eastern High during the launch of the training of youth in rural areas who will be operating heavy machinery.
Affirmative action. We have to ensure we drive this affirmative action policy as a collective, and this should encompass every ministry. This is also where the issue of decentralization comes into play. Additionally, it also cements the reason behind upgrading of councils so that services can be brought closer to the people, even those in the remotest of areas. We must walk and live the talk. Every ministry has to play its role in improving the lives of those who live in remote, less developed areas.
Yeah, no, we must walk the talk and live the talk. Le pata lengwe le lengwe le tshwantse go nna le seabe bo go tokagatse matshelo a batho ba ba nnang kgakala le ditlamelo.
Rona re le ba local government.
As local government, we are committing to upholding the ideals of the affirmative action policy and promise that we will lobby our departments to always hit the ground running and assist those who need help. At the end of the day, when we speak of developments, we are also speaking to human development, where every Motswana lives a life of dignity with all their needs attended to.
Kgosi o dirile Sekwenyane of Pisane Molopo has described Bogosi as a major element in building the nation as it unites the society as well as promotes peace and tranquility. Kgosi Sekwenyane said this at the inauguration of headman of arbitration Kgosi Aaron Tsatsi of Marojane Ward in Makori. Lone Sekobo reports.
Kgosi Tsatsi's arbitration comes after the passing of Kgosi Selaelo Malale, who was shown to be a remarkable leader. He was reminded of his duties as a public servant, hence urged to serve the public with respect and diligence, as that will build trust. Bogosi promotes unity and also helps build society. I urge you to respect them and their duties. As the society leader, you should be fair and not have favorites, as that will make you deliver easily. Mr. Aaron Tsatsi acknowledged the position and promised to deliver and play his role. He also pledged to work well with other leaders for the development of the village. I acknowledge the position and promise to serve my purpose, not only to Marojane Ward, but to the society of Makori for their betterment. Kgosi mentioned that unity between them as Makhosi and the public contributes immensely to the development of the village, as it also helps them to deliver without failure. Lone Sokobo, BTV News, Makori.
The Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, has sent 1,000 Botswana to Japan to be facilitated in practices and trainings that will enhance the ecotourism of the country. The chief representative of JICA, Mr. Hiroyasu Tonokwawa, stated that those practices and trainings will assist in developing tourism diversification and marketing in Botswana. Kiso Temane compiled this one.
As Botswana looks to diversify and broaden its market appeal, Mr. Hiroyasu Tonokawa shared that JICA is set to work with 1,000 trainees upon completion of that training to boost the local tourism industry. He further stated that in a quest to achieve its aspiration, JICA has deployed 400 Japanese volunteers across Botswana to assist in the development of tourism diversification and marketing.
In accordance with the Botswana National Development Plan, JICA sets 2 priority areas in Botswana. Under these 2 priority areas, JICA has dispatched more than 400 volunteers to many places in Botswana. And we accepted more than 1,000 Botswana for training in Japan.
As the environment and natural resources are some of the major tourism attractions in this country, the Director of Department of Forestry and Range Resources, Ms. Baipapi Hill, stated that they intend to capacitate the community primarily on the effective measures to conserve them.
Forestry reserves that they are residing on it at the moment, so that they can benefit directly from them without necessarily damaging the environment. And we provide them with all the technical support for them to be able to utilize these resources without managing them at the right way, so that they are not overutilized or over-consumed. So they live with them here, and it's already a call for us as a department to not just say do not use, but instead use them sustainable, so that in future we will be able to see them.
The Department of Forestry and Range Resources, alongside JICA, donated a monument to Chobe West Enclave. It is envisaged that the monument that has historical background of the Basubia community inscribed on it will attract tourists to the Chobe district.
DFRR and JICA approached SEC in 2022-2023 for ecotourism development. Today, we have an offspring of such a collaboration.
We appreciate your support in capacitating us on importance of natural resources and essential measures to employ in caring for and conserving them. Chobe Enclave Conservation Trust was urged to engage the community in the endeavors to come up with new ideas and strategies to boost tourism in that area. Kitso Temane, Botswana Television, Muchenji.
Well, that is the news. This is Tato Khosimore on standby to take you through the world of sport.
Thanks to you, Olibile Samoka. This is In Context, a sports update brought to you by Tato Khosimore. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. Let's jump straight into our top story this afternoon. The Botswana national women's tennis team departed for Kenya yesterday to compete in the Billie Jean Cup Group 3. The tournament will take place from the 10th to the 15th of June in Nairobi, Kenya. Bamelokoma with more.
Botswana has previously competed in the Billie Jean Cup twice, first in Macedonia and then in Kenya, finishing in 8th position in Kenya. However, this year, the team is optimistic about breaking into the top 4. This renewed confidence stems from the inclusion of other top-ranked players, a significant change from last year when one of their key players was absent.
Like right now we're leaving so that we can have a training camp in Kenya before the tournament, because some they're in the US, some they're in Botswana, so it's difficult to work with them when there's others who are away. Like last year, we didn't have one of our strong players, so I think this year maybe we might make it top 4.
The team includes 2 players based in the United States who play college tennis, consistently competing against top talent. Additionally, Chelsea Chakunyaka, a player who has been actively competing in International Tennis Federation tournaments, will bring valuable experience.
Yes, it's a young team that it's doing really well, and I believe in the team. I think we will do well. Yes.
One of their strongest players, who also serves as a junior coach, is expected to provide strategic insights and guidance to the team. In preparation for the tournament, the team will undergo an intensive training camp in Kenya. This camp will be crucial in sharpening their skills and strategies ahead of the competition.
Because I've been playing way more tournaments this year, I think it really helped with the way I play, change my game style, and I think it will really help me improve in the way I'm going to play in Kenya. And plus, we're going there a week before, so we'll get more time to get used to the court, the weather, the everything, and that will help with the tournament.
16 countries will participate in this year's tournament, with participants selected based on their rankings. Bamile Goma, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And all the best to Team Botswana. Moving on, 35 graduates of the Baseball 5 Level 1 coaching course organized by the World Baseball Softball Confederation says they have learned a lot from the course, whose main focus was grassroots development. Tlamelo Muntsusi reports.
The Level 1 Baseball 5 coaching course had attracted 30 local coaches, 12 of whom were women and 18 men. 5 coaches from Lesotho, made up of 3 women and 2 men, were also in attendance to get the basics of Baseball 5 for grassroots levels.
The skills that we are keeping them, we are teaching them how the game is played and how do you strategize to develop the players and how to run a proper elite Baseball 5 training. Yeah, with teaching all the aspects of the game, and also we're also teaching them the impact and the positive impact of Baseball 5 within the game of softball and how it's going to impact on the development of softball in South Africa, in Botswana.
If we can start Baseball 5 in primary schools, bana ya gore ba tsena ko the junior schools ko eleng gore ke teng go re bonang sport se le sentsi teng, they will have the techniques and a little bit knowledge of how softball is being played.
The president of Botswana Softball Association, Tirlo Mokokomane, says despite Baseball 5 being relatively new in Botswana, they have set up the structures to start playing it here in Botswana, since it is one of the sports that will be played at the 2026 Youth Olympics, to be hosted by Senegal.
So, you remember that we've never had this sport before in Botswana. Who will then train other trainers. In the next few weeks, then introduce Baseball 5 to our young people, our youth. A few more weeks, then come up with a team, a youth between 15 and 18. August, they qualify to go South Africa, go the regional qualifiers, to then go into the second leg of qualifiers more Africa before it can qualify for the Olympics. So this is part of softball. Shall I say, the low-hanging fruits that have to do with softball.
The president further highlighted that they are determined to improve and grow the sport of baseball and softball in Botswana to make it attractive to sponsors. Tlamelo Muntsusi, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And in conclusion, the Botswana Football Association Chief Executive Officer Mfulo has confirmed that the BFA National Executive Committee met last month and agreed to reconsider the Botswana Football League autonomy, which was granted the BFL for it to run as an independent entity.
Mfolo further highlighted that the Botswana Football League was granted autonomy with the hope that they will run their office accordingly.
In our General Assembly, October 2020, 10th of October 2020, BFL FUR autonomy. mme autonomy ena e le gore ba itsamaise mo go itsamaise ga bone le gore ba forme a company mme company ena turana e kgolo ne le gore ba ipatlele madi a di-sponsorship mme gape rona re le BFA re be re ba neela 2 of our products in the Premier League and the National First Division re ba ra ba di tsamaise mo boemong jwa rona mme ga ba di tsamaisana gape 2 most important things ke gore they must professionalize the league and they must also commercialize the league.
The CEO further stressed that the BFA National Executive Committee was well within their powers to reach the decision to restructure because they have the responsibility to save football whenever the need arises.
There were a lot of wars in the boardroom, in the board of directors. There were the shareholder all the events culminated with the meeting on Osorgo Palapem. Now everything became into the open. Mekana Osantor as BFA, we still remain the regulator. And we still make sure that football must be protected.
The hope is that the decision taken by the BFA National Executive Committee will go a long way and assist in the smooth running of local leagues, especially the Premier League, which secured a sponsorship from First National Bank of Botswana. Katlaho Kakule, BTV Sport.
That's it from In Context, our sports update. Thank you very much for the privilege of your time. In Context to continue on the other side. Stay tuned for more. Good afternoon.
So we specifically wanted to have a workshop here because we thought younger generations being trained in culinary arts will represent the future. And the biggest purpose of this week is to promote Turkish cuisine, and the best way to do it, to have a withstanding promotion, is to do it with future generations. And we wanted to come here and teach them how to prepare some dishes to add it to their knowledge so they can practice it in their future professional lives.
You know, when you are exposed to